Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, and I am Kat Hobson, your host. I'm so glad you're here. Sometimes you have those friends that you know that they do all these things, and you know that they're so busy, and that they're busy with investigations, they're busy with hobbies, they're busy with work, and you just kind of don't realize all the things that they do, even though you know they're doing them. You don't put attention on them. Well, I'm going to change that tonight because I have my friend Carl Albertson with me, who is, oh my gosh, he does so many things. He is Wizards Engraving, and he has a show called The Laser Show, which I'm going to be part of pretty soon once mine gets here. I'm so excited, guys. I'm going to be bringing you all kinds of fun things at events to play with. But he is a paranormal investigator. And I'm going to tell you that the man sits out in the freezing weather. He lives up in the frozen north. And he and Gary, and when Denise and Ron lived up there, Denise and Ron and would all go and do investigations overnight in the cemetery in the freezing weather. So, they're so bad to the bone. I am not kidding. But he is also the owner of, oh, good grief, he's the owner of a lot. But he is Paranormal Nation Radio, and he really helps so many people. When I was struggling trying to figure out how to produce my shows using StreamYard, tried Zoom, and did all the things, Carl reached out and said, let me run your show for you. He is a great survival homesteader, and thank you for that. But Carl is one of those people that just said, yeah, let me run your show. And I've been here ever since because he's been listening to me. He's listened to Denise forever. They've been friends forever. He's followed my show and me. And he saw me struggling, and he reached out and said, let me help you. And it was the best thing, truly. And I've never told him this, but it's the best thing that has happened to me in a long time, show related. And I just think that he is a really special, beautiful human. It just really is true. And he's probably over there blushing right now. He'll get over that. But he's part of all kinds of stuff. I'm going to let him talk about it. Born TV is on Rumble. He does Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal with Denise and Ron. I was on there with them this week. It was the best time. I love Denise and Ron and Carl, so it was a lot of fun. And I'm just really honored to bring him to you here. And if he's still speaking to me after me saying all those things about him, we'll see. So, Carl Albertson, I want y'all to meet him. Hey, Carl.
Hello, Kat, and thank you very much for that introduction.
Well, I didn't even go through all the stuff, but I figured that you might be, getting ready to beat me or something. So
No.
I just figured that
Never.
I would let people, I've told them the basics. I'm going to let them get to know you because you really are special. I mean, you got a big old heart. You're a nice man. And Jeremy York said, Carl, yeah, I guess he's all right.
Yep.
So, and William Kabira has said that about your great survival homestead page too.
Yeah, William has been on our shows, and me and him do a show. I've got to get that going back again on Thursday nights, or we'll pick a night for it. But William lives up in North New York, up in the mountains, right? And he teaches survival.
Okay.
But for his regular job, he does construction in downtown New York City and has seen so much stuff going on down there.
I'm positive. Holy
I
wow.
mean, that's something on your paranormal experience show. You might want to, we'll get William on there to tell you a lot of the stuff that's been going on down in New York City and what he's seen and everything, because he does a lot of them big buildings and different things down there. So William's a fantastic guy. You'll love him, especially if anybody out there wants to learn survival skills, William will take a group of people up in the timber, up in the woods, and with hardly anything, and teach them how to survive out in the wilderness.
Well, that's cool because I already have a question for him. So I could
Right.
probably ask you too, because you do that.
Yeah, I do a lot of that.
Yes, you
But
do.
like you said, I do engraving. As a lot of people can see, a lot of the engraving stuff I have back here on the wall and everything. Hello, Joanne.
Hey, Joanne.
And I've been doing that now for 3 years and stuff. And like I showed Kat, one of the latest ones I did, and you'll
Y'all are
see it
going to
on
love
the
this.
laser show, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But here's one of the latest
Is that
laser
gorgeous?
engravings on a 4x4 piece of basswood.
Yeah.
And what you'll see this on the laser show, but you will also see a 12x12 on basswood of this picture that was cut into a jigsaw puzzle with the laser.
Yeah.
So my wife's in working on that right now to get it
Lori
done.
said, wow. I
Oh,
said, wow,
thank
too,
you.
when I saw it. It's gorgeous.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Kat loves this one, and I've got to make her one. Well, she's going to make one as soon as she gets her laser going.
She is.
But because
Show him.
she's a water person and
She is.
pirates intrigue her.
I am
So,
a pirate. Look at that, guys. He did that with a little laser.
yeah, that's a laser on a ceramic tile, and that
Yes,
will not come off.
at all.
You can't scratch it off, nothing. It's lasered into it.
And
But
if you
how
find
often do
me
you
at an
see a,
event, you might
yeah,
be able to get one of those from me too.
right.
So
But how often do you see a pirate with a headset on and a microphone?
that's why I have to make that.
That's right. Start a new
Because
show
that's
called the
going to be
Pirate
standing over.
Radio Show. But
That's going to
yeah,
be right over there by Al.
right. And I do dog tags and I do a lot of stuff. And coming soon is going to be metal business cards, going to be some slate coasters. Uh, I am going to work. I've done a couple of pieces of leather, but I'm going to order some leather hat patches. The iron on
Yes,
type that will be lasered engraved across there.
and that's
Be
pretty cool.
custom orders taken. Hello, Tom.
Hey,
We take all
Tom,
kinds of custom orders.
2 times.
Yeah. But no, I do that. I also own the Bill of Rights Network on Facebook,
Yes.
where you find Cat's Show, the fake magazine. You'll find Paranormal Experience. You'll find Paranormal Pride, Paranormal Nation Radio, No BS with Chris Houston, The Laser Show, all kinds of shows on there. Plus, I have two more people wanting to start podcasts on my network. One will be another paranormal show with cryptids and UFOs and all kinds of stuff. I'll talk to Kat about that later on after the show. She may want this person on as a guest
Always.
one night. But yeah, William, thank you very much. But we have a lot of different things going on. Also, thanks to Dark Realm TV and
Yes.
LEP
Thanks.
Productions, which is Jason Snyder, Jay Lynch, and Joe Kudo. Joe Kudo does the laser show with me and stuff. Jay and all them do LEP Productions. They do Stirring the Pot podcast. But they've been working on a lot of things, and especially over the last year. They got a group of guys together, real techie, IT tech guys, and they built their own OTT platform. If you don't know what an OTT platform is, platform made that you load up your videos and submit it to Roku and Fire Stick. Once they approve it, they make your channel over there. So everybody can go check out Dark Realm TV's Roku channel, the app on Roku and on Fire Stick.
And they are a
And you
subscription, but it's a very reasonable price.
$4.99 a month.
Yeah.
You get all the shows from Fake Magazine. You get all the shows from Paranormal Experience. You get all the shows from Paranormal Pride, Paranormal Nation Radio over there. Plus, they have got a line of podcasters. They have a line of old original horror movies. And there is some investigation shows on there. So anybody out there that's got a podcast or anything, go to Dark Realm TV on Facebook. Send them your information. They are always looking for more
And they're
shows.
great people.
They are.
They are
The
great
nice thing
guys.
about it, if you've checked into Roku, however you want to
Roku.
pronounce it, right?
Yes.
Usually to get set up for like TV startup, right, is another platform to go and everything that they'll put your show on the Roku device and Fire Stick, right? But they want $1,800 up front to give you the place to put it, and then they want $250 a month, right?
Well,
to
they're a
run
bit
it.
proud of that.
Oh, they are. And everything. With Dark Realm TV podcasters, it don't cost you a penny. They are putting it on their platform, the OTT, and on Dark Realm TV. You own all your show information. You own everything. They don't own anything. You can stop at any time, if you don't like it, whatever. But these guys have put it together for all of us, podcasters, investigators, all kinds of things.
And I only knew Jay Lynch. I didn't know the other gentleman, and they still, because you went to bat for me, I'm there. And now I just love them. I don't talk to them very often, but I follow them pretty closely.
Right.
I think they're pretty amazing humans,
Well,
really.
Jason Snyder,
Hmm.
he's a police officer up in Toledo,
Hmm.
right? But he's also a TV actor. He's been
I did
in
not know that.
all four of the Cruel Summer movies that are coming out.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was just down in Tallahassee here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, down there when it snowed in Milton. Okay.
Did he freeze?
Yeah,
Tallahassee's
just about.
not that
No, he
far.
didn't freeze. A bunch of the others did that wasn't used to the cold weather, right?
That's
But
true.
they
He
were
was kind of
down there
acclimated that
filming.
way.
They were down there filming the first segment of Cruel Summer 4,
Okay.
right? They'll finish the filming in March and April in Georgia at another location. And Jason will be down there, and Santiago Sorello will be down there to finish out his part in Cruel Summer 4.
Love Santy.
So that's how those guys, and I've known Jay Lynch a long time.
Yeah, you have.
I was like you. I didn't know much about Jason. I didn't know much about Joe until they all got together, right?
Mhm.
And we had them on the Paranormal Pride show,
Mhm.
right? And got to talking. And they's telling us about this OTT platform and Roku and all this and that, and said, whenever you get it, let us know. And they said, okay, no problem. They got it up and running. That's when I caught up with Jason and Joe, got to know them and everything. And they sent me the information. They'll send you the information how to upload your videos and where to upload it to. And then as they get them in each week, they just don't automatically load it up. Each week, they put out so many shows on there. So you may have 10 Fake Magazine episodes up there, but they on the app they may only be seeing episode 3, episode
Mhm.
4. They're always keeping them coming back for more, coming
Yeah.
back for more. Because for $4.99 a month, you get access to all this. And there is a podcast on there that you really don't see on YouTube, you don't see on television or anything. It's Native American podcast.
You do not see that unless those Navajo Rangers happen to be on one of the Ancient Alien shows somewhere.
Right, right. But these guys do it through all the tribes of the Native Americans. It's a very interesting podcast.
It would just about
So
have to be.
it is, and it's the only one over there. And if you're a movie maker on a low budget, and trying to find a place to put your show out so it'll get seen, get a hold of Dark Realm TV. Because before long, they're going to have some exclusive movies over on Dark Realm.
For someone doing that, do they have to do licensing to them, or how does that work for the producer, the creator?
The creator, well, most of them, just like, let me tell you like this Santiago and them made Beast of the Water, right? A
Mhm.
movie. It was free on Tubi. So they weren't really making any money on the movie. They were getting their names out, they were getting their faces out, right? And everything to do it. So anybody makes short movies, short films, 30-minute films, 20-minute films, hour and a half film. Talk to Dark Realm TV. They'll get you set up. And then you can put it out everywhere that you're on a Roku device. You're on television. That
Well, I
way,
know
if
that.
you go to do another movie and you need funding, what better way than have it broadcasted on television?
Well, so that it's easily accessible,
Hmm.
and you've got a few more chops going into it.
Right.
You know, you'd mentioned the investigation shows. How are these? How are people doing those? Are they?
Okay. Like when we go on investigations, we film
Mhm,
investigation and stuff.
mhm.
You take those and put them together in about a 1 hour to hour and a half format video, right?
Right?
And say, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I was down investigating the Cox Cemetery.
Right.
So we investigated for 3 hours. I'll go through the 3 hours and put together an hour and a half investigation. It'll be a live investigation that we did live. They won't see it live at that time, but they'll put it up and then, it would say investigation at the Cox Cemetery. That type of deal.
Okay.
So what you're doing basically is putting some of your evidence in video form and audio form up into a short little movie. That's all you're doing.
Well, I do that to do a presentation to a client if I'm doing residential. So,
Uh-huh.
because it's just easier than having to have individual things.
Right. And it's
But I don't
easier
really do
than
residentials anymore. But
sitting there and filming an entire 3 hour, 4 hour investigation and trying to
it's got a
upload it.
lot of nothing and dead time,
Exactly.
as it were.
Right. And that's what they want you to be.
Yeah.
Is truthful on there. If you go to an investigation, you spend 3 hours there and you don't get nothing, tell them. Tell them in
Well,
your
because that's
video.
real.
We didn't get nothing. Nothing
That
worked,
is,
So is it haunted or isn't it haunted? As far as our concerns go, we didn't catch nothing,
not
so
so
we can't
much.
say it is.
Yeah.
And that's
But
the
based on
way
other people, we can't
paranormal
tell you
should
it's
be.
not. It is.
Right.
And it's really funny because it's so wild, because we've all seen the shows where it's every drop of a needle is a demon,
Mm-hmm.
or every time the leaves blow, it's somebody coming after you. And that's not just one show. I'm not slamming just one person. Just to
No.
put that out there, because I go to that museum a lot. I don't want to be banned. But yeah, but it's really and truly, a lot of shows followed that map, right? There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of shows that follow that map. And it's so relieving to have someone say, you know, we did not get squat. I was at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, which is the most haunted place, really, most of the time, and I didn't get squat. And that was not on the spirits. I did not do something right, or the weather was inclement. They didn't respond to. Yeah, we don't know
Right.
what makes them shy, right?
Right.
But I have been to that location with nothing. It's only happened once. I've had some of the best evidence I've ever caught there. But
Yeah.
just one time, there was nothing at all. No sense, no noises, no visual thing at all. I mean, because you get aromas when you're there. You do get physical activity. I had a balloon that was going against a fan, go to the fan and then shoot away from it in front of me. And it
Mm-hmm.
took it a while to get my attention because I was messing with the camera. Lori got it, but because I didn't know why she had gone so still. Right? It was the weirdest thing ever. But you're going to get that no matter where you are, and it's
Right.
nice to be honest about that.
It
Yeah.
is. Just like you said, you could go, and it happened to us at our cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
one night we can go there, sit down, take a little break, and hear the horses walking down the gravel road and never hear it again. We was out one evening, parked on the side there, and was loading everything up in the back of the truck. And one of my paranormal guys that used to be with me was sitting there, and we both heard the noise at the same time and turned around. We heard horses went in.
Did
And
you?
I looked at him and I said, "Did you?" And he goes, "Horse." And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "I heard it plain as day." And I have never heard it out there since. Okay. We went out one night out there with a girl that used to be on our team, and she's moved away, so she's not on here anymore. But her mom is 75% Indian, right? Three
Mhm.
quarters Indian. We brought her out. We have a grave out there called the Unknown Indian. It's got a headstone on it that says Unknown Indian. So she goes over by it. So two or three of us are over there, and Randy, that used to be on our team, went over with his dowsing rods, standing beside her, and walked up, and they slammed against him, right? Arms like this.
Right.
He could not pull his arms apart.
Wow.
He yelled at me. I went over, put dowsing rods in back pocket and everything, and I grabbed the rods to try to spread them apart, and they bent. That's
Get
how
out.
strong. That's how strong it was. I told
Holy
him so. I
moly.
grabbed his fingers and got his fingers moved and had him drop the rods. When he did, he could move his arms.
That's so bizarre. I've never heard of that. That's cool.
And I went over there with a camera, full battery, walked over beside her,
Yeah.
went to film her. Camera went dead. Battery was
Yep.
completely dead.
I hate when that
We
happens.
have a lot of stuff like that happen. But around that headstone, it's crazy. We put trail cams out because this is out in the country by a gravel road
Hmm.
and everything. We get people coming into the cemetery. This is a little bitty, tiny cemetery that my great grandfather started, right? There's 80
Okay.
people buried there. but there's only 50 some headstones, right? There's 80 registered people buried there.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of people, and the nearest place anybody lives is 3 miles away from this
Okay.
cemetery. But we have people come down on 4-wheelers and get out, and they walk right up to the unknown Indian and put down flowers, put down a can of beer. Had one put down a bullet, had cigarette packs laying there. That's the only headstone they come to see. And we're not talking just, I'm not being racist or anything, folks. So let me tell you, we had this lady come up on a 4-wheeler. She's a white farm lady. We had a minivan pull into the cemetery and get out, and they were all dark colored people, right? That went to an unknown Indian's grave. They didn't go to any of the others. And we have this on video on trail cams.
Wow.
You know, we've had Mexican people come out, and that's the only headstone they go to.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. And nobody, we've heard stories of the unknown Indian, right? And the story we got was this happened back in the 1930s, somewhere in there. Now, this cemetery wasn't the Cox Cemetery then. It was Spring Valley Cemetery
Okay.
that my great great grandfather bought the property and then renamed it the Cox Cemetery, where all the Coxes are buried, right? And stuff. But around the 1930s into early 40s, it was rumored that this Indian was traveling through like a hobo, right? And stopped at this farm, and the farmer put him to work, helping on the farm. Well, they said that, and they were in horse and buggy, right? Had a buckboard, and the Indian was on the back of the buckboard. And they was going up the trail and hit a rock or something, and the Indian flew off the backboard, and when he came down, he got his head caught in the wheel, and it broke his neck.
Oh no.
If you know anything about buckboards,
Yeah.
the back end of it is 3 foot away from the wheel. If you bounce up, you usually go the opposite direction, right?
You would think.
Yeah. But I think there's more to the story, because I've had mediums on our shows, and we talk about the Cox Cemetery, and I'd tell them about the unknown Indian. And, you know, they're the type that they can see right at the cemetery, and you're not there. Okay? I've had them when we've done live shows down there. I've had 2 mediums, psychic people, tell me there's 2 bodies in that grave, a full grown body and a baby. And I went, okay,
That's interesting.
that's interesting. That could make a better story. I could believe that the Indian showed up and the farmer put it up, and the Indian got to messing around with the farmer's wife and got her pregnant, and the farmer didn't like it.
Yeah.
So,
And maybe
I
you
can
didn't know
underst-
until the baby was born.
right, and I could understand that, right? I could actually believe that one,
Yeah.
but we don't know. But this headstone it's not an old rock headstone. It's concrete with marble inlay, and it's etched into it professionally, unknown Indian.
That is not a normal tombstone.
No, and that wasn't put in the 30s and 40s. I would say that headstone was put in about 60, 65, somewhere in that type deal.
Wow, that plot just thickened, didn't it?
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that plot thickens out there at that cemetery. Okay, like I said, it's on a gravel road. Okay, you go to the south end of the cemetery, what is supposed to be the south end, where the gravel road goes and goes on to the east. Okay, in 1959, the gravel road stopped east down at the bottom of the hill. There's an old roadway down at the bottom that goes north, and then it makes a right turn, comes up and gets on the gravel road on the other side of the cemetery. There was no gravel road in this cemetery prior to 1959. 1959, motor grader guy got tired of making this right hand turn, this left hand turn, and this right hand turn. He drove right up the road, which belongs to the cemetery. Actually, we have the deed on it.
Right.
Cut through the cemetery, made the gravel road go around. The cemetery actually sits on both sides of the gravel road. But now, with dowsing rods and different equipment, there are graves in that gravel road that he went over. We are finding there's dirt piles off to the west. Every time it rains real heavy, these headstone rocks start appearing in the dirt piles.
Oh my.
Uh huh. Now, they did this without notifying the county or anything. That is illegal.
Yes, that is,
Uh huh.
especially on
But
private property.
nobody said nothing about it until me and Gary took it over and got the deeds and the titles and was looking at this. And when Gary's wife was alive, she was researching it. She's the one that actually came up and found out in 1959, and we have the plat map that shows the road you can go through the cemetery. We even
Oh my
presented it.
gosh.
We presented it to the county commissioners and went, this was done illegal in that township. We could actually put barricades at one end of that gravel road and at the other end. Now, you might have
Yes.
some farmers get mad, but oh,
But you
yeah.
could restore the graves.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
we've had,
wow.
and there's a
That's
lot of,
desecration. E- Back then, that was a big deal.
uh-huh,
I mean, seriously, who
right.
does that?
And see, this cemetery is close to a lot of history. Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, at the south end of it, you go 200 yards, you're at what we call the railroad tracks that the trains actually go on now.
Currently.
Yeah, and they did way back in too, right? It's northern Burlington lines down through there.
Okay.
Okay. We got that. Right on this side of the railroad tracks, we have Shoal Creek, which is famous for Caldwell County
Hmm.
because you go 3 miles east from the cemetery to Shoal Creek, right? This is where the Hans Mill Massacre occurred,
Oh, okay.
where 17 Mormons were shot and killed by the Chillicothe militia in 1938. It happened on Halloween Day, 1938.
Was that like a religious cleansing or something? Or what
No.
caused that?
What caused that? Okay, let's do a little history here. 1936, Caldwell County was created, okay, and was given to the Mormons that came out of Independence, Missouri, right?
Okay.
They were being ran out, okay, with the condition there are settlers up in the Caldwell County, which used to be part of Ray County and Davies County, right? There's settlers up here. When you go up there, don't harass them. like they were doing in Independence, right? This is 1936. The governor issued it to them. They went up there. In 1936 to 1937, there was over 60,000 Mormons in Caldwell County. From far west all the way over to Livingston County. You can look this up and research it. It's on a big deal out in front of the courthouse at Kingston and everything, right? They had far west is out there where they were going to build the staircase to heaven. And this is my stomping grounds where I grew up in that area.
Right.
Right? But 1936, 1937, things were building up. They were harassing the farmers. They would go over and say, God said, those are my cows, I'm taking them. God said, that's my farm, I'm taking it. This is how they were back then.
Well, that's not intelligent.
No. This is during the days of Joseph Smith. Right? So, anyway, a bunch of people were getting a hold of the governor at the time and telling him what was going on. Well, the ones at Hans Mill down here supposedly, don't know if it was true or not, stole in from the Chillicothe militia, which is a no-no.
Yes.
Right? And everything. So here's where the story gets real good. You know, news didn't travel real fast back in those days.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. On October 31st, 1938, Chillicothe and Daviess County militia got together and raided Hans Mill, which was on Shoal Creek, 3 miles from the cemetery. A whole group, family down there, Mormons and everything, and they had the mills in the in Shoal Creek, you know, running, doing all a little town, basically, is what it was, and everything, and came in shooting, guns ablazing. They killed 17 people. 7 of them were children.
Oh, dear.
They went through, did all that, rode out. Well, the Mormons that scattered out came back, and because they had no way to get the bodies out of there, they put them down a well. The well has been covered up through floods and everything out there. But with the dowsing rods, I've had 4 people go to the exact same spot that says it's the well.
Well, I'm a big believer in dowsing rods. I use them.
Right. Denise and Ron's been out there. We investigated Hans Mill. But anyway, like I was telling you, information don't get around real quick. Okay? October 31st, they raid Hans Mill. October the 29th, 2 days prior, the governor of the state of Missouri issued an executive order to eradicate all Mormons out of Caldwell County. You were either to buy their property, give them fair price. If they didn't sell it to you, you could shoot them. This was legal back then.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. So they got ran out of Caldwell County. Okay. You know, that law, that was 1838. That law was still on the books in 1972.
It was not.
Yes.
Really?
And the only reason it got taken off the books, Brigham Young University was to play the Missouri Tigers in Columbia, Missouri for a championship game. Brigham Young called Columbia. They got a hold of the governor and said, we're not coming through because on your books, we could be shot and killed legally. So in 1972, Kip Bond reversed the executive order.
Dear God.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. That's insane.
Oh yeah. It's in the history of Caldwell County.
I mean, I'm
You.
not doubting you. I know
Oh,
how
I
honest
know.
you are.
It's
But I
hilarious.
mean, holy crud.
When we ran them out, when we ran them out, you know where they went? Atchison, Kansas.
Atchison,
Uh-huh.
which has its own history.
Uh-huh. They went to Atchison and they went to Indiana. Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
Oh, that whole segment is interesting as can be when you research it. And like you said, maybe you and Mikey can get up here sometime like we were talking, and we're going to take you out there to these areas where you can
Well,
see the history.
I love
You
that part.
you can see the courthouse in Caldwell County, the third courthouse. The other two were burnt down.
You know, it's so, I mean, I never doubt you. You're one of the most honest people I know. And if it's, you don't BS. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any doubt about this stuff. But what bothers me about this whole scenario is the fact that this is real history. People actually thought that was fine at one
Mm-hmm.
point in the world. And that's just so jacked up.
Well,
And when you sit there and you hear these things, this is American history.
mm-hmm.
This is how different, they're not classes of people, but different faiths, different looks, different practices. And so just because of that, let's get them out of here. If you can't get them out, nicely, just take them out.
Right.
That's and people, I know people are going to be shocked because of my accent. You would never know that I'm Southern, right? But we have our own horrible history that is very public. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I hear something like this that the rest of the country doesn't know about, it blows my mind because all of these things should have been shouted from rooftops.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
because,
see, this was done 30 years before the Civil War.
yeah,
But back to the cemetery part. Okay, 3 miles to the east is Hans Mill Massacre.
mhm,
Okay. What I'm getting to is Cox Cemetery sets in the center of evil things.
yes,
Okay. You had the Hans Mill Massacre where they come in and killed 17 people. Now we're going to go 3 miles south and we're going to go back about 4 or 5 years ago. The Dimmel brothers from Nebraska, the cattle guys that came
hmm,
down and got murdered and put in barrels. That's 3 miles south of the Cox Cemetery where it happened.
I don't think I want to pass through near that cemetery. So I'm just going to put that out there.
I mean,
I
there's
mean,
there's been a
it's,
lot of stuff around that cemetery.
there
History or
is.
people say stuff. On a gravel road, on the other gravel road, coming to the cemetery, you got a sign that says so and so was shot and killed here. He was a Southern sympathizer. And they got a sign sitting on the side of the road, a nice blue metal street
Just
sign.
sitting on the side of the road?
Yeah, sitting right on the bank.
That's crazy.
He was shot and killed here. So you look at all that stuff and everything, and then out at our cemetery, right down the road, as you're going down towards the railroad tracks, there's a metal building up on the hill. It's a hunting cabin, right, for deer season.
Mhm.
And this guy had a bunch of his buddies come in that wanted to go relic hunting, right? So they go across the gravel road and go up this little nice little bluff hill up there, rock hill, right? They start digging. They're digging left and right, right? And a couple of them found little Indian bowls, right? Different things. This one guy's got a big hole dug and he comes up and he said he came up with this big pot right? And he said when he turned and looked up, he almost dropped the pot. 50 feet, he said, in front of him. And as we would call an apparition,
Mm-hmm.
was an Indian in full native gear staring at him. He put the bowl back in the hole, told the other guys put everything back in, covered it up. And all this time, he's seeing this Indian looking at him. He got it all pamped up. He said, "Come on, guys." And as they started walking out, he goes, "You do see that, don't you?" And they turned and looked. And just as they looked, for a split second, they got to see him and it disappeared.
Wow.
They ran off the hill,
I
got in
would
their
have run off
truck,
the hill too.
went home, called the guy that owns the hunting cabin, and says, "We ain't ever coming back up there. We ain't going deer hunting in there." Told him what happened. Well, he came up when me and Gary was out there and told us what had happened. And I said, "Well, that makes sense because
Sure.
when Denise and Ron's out there with us, Denise seen the Indians in the trees watching us."
She had told me about that.
Right. And there's a lot of Indian graves, according to some of our devices, dowsing rods and other devices, that there's Indian graves up on this hill buried too in our cemetery.
Wow. Well, a lot of times they would bury their people with their belongings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's stuff that obviously, if it was very useful, then they wouldn't. But here, here they did.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into an Indian burial mound, there's a lot of their things because they had to have it for their travel to the next place.
Right.
And there's a lot of societies that do that. So if I pulled the first thing out of that ground, I would have been out of there.
Well,
I mean,
we've done a lot out there, and especially on the west side, on the other side of the gravel road. There's some trees and fence line and different things there. Well, there are some big mounds in there that the
like how big?
equipment. We're talking 7 foot high, 25 foot around,
Hmm.
right? Dowsing rods and other pieces of equipment and psyches. It's a mass Indian burial. And it makes sense because that's how they did a lot of that back then.
Yeah. I mean, we have a place here called Moundville that's what that is, and it's right off a river.
Uh-huh.
So off the Black Warrior River. So that is a practice.
Right. Well, we went as far as, okay, I made a boring drill, a 1 inch boring drill,
Hmm.
4 foot long, that we put on a drill, right? We's on the west side trying to prove there are graves over there other than just with dowsing rods or with the echo box. I want actual proof.
Physical.
Right.
Physical proof.
So we would go in an area with our dowsing rods and mark off where it said a grave was at. So I would estimate the middle because we'd ask if it's male or female. And what I was trying to get to was a male soldier, cavalry soldier,
Hmm.
right? Because we would take that drill and drill down in the ground real slow and pull it up and see what came up with it, right? I didn't want to dig the whole grave up.
Right.
So
Well, you would
we
have
would
the layers on the drill bit.
exactly. So we'd go down and go down. We went down one that was 2.5 foot and came up with white material. So that did tell me something was in the ground there,
Hmm.
buried in a sheet or anything. But I was trying to come up because, cavalry people, even if they were shot, they were in their uniform. So
Hmm.
they would have their brass buttons. I was trying to see if a brass button would come up and then I could prove the cavalry was there.
Right.
and stuff. We've done that a lot out there and stuff. And it's not hurting the grave, you know. There may be a grave there may not be a grave there. But when I'm down there 2, 3 foot and I bring up old rotten wood or white fabric, right?
Hmm.
Something's down there because there shouldn't be no white fabric down there or the old rotten wood down there.
Well, certainly not that deep.
No.
So
So
that is
we've
so
done that.
interesting
Yeah.
and
And that's
very, very innovative. That's just an example of how your brain works. You know, you're always analyzing and trying to find out ways to prove theories or to further them.
right. Just
That's so
to kind
smart.
of look. And another thing is, yeah, when we go down 2, 3 foot or up to 4 foot, and I'd pull certain things out, I have an endoscope with a 15-foot cable on it. If you don't know what an endoscope is, it's that little bitty
Yep.
camera on the end of a cable that you look into a monitor as you go down. And I'll tell you what, I have seen some really interesting stuff going down the layers, and then you'll see layers, a layer of wood that thick, which tells you it was a wooden coffin.
Hmm.
Okay. And then you go down in there, and I'd see more fabrics and more things. Right. So we would make a head or a cross marker and put it on it. This is a grave. We don't know who you are or anything, but we are marking your grave.
They have to appreciate that.
And that's what I think. And the more we do that, the more we get things happening out there at the cemetery.
Like
Now,
what?
like Gary's big into his SLS,
Hmm.
right? Okay. He's got a table, a rolling table. It's like 18 inches by 18 inches and 3 foot high that he sets it on. I told him, I said, you don't need to be carrying that around all the time because you'll catch a tree, you know, the corner of a headstone. Put it in a position where it stays there and then ask questions and have them come and everything, right? And we've debunked a lot of it. But when you get a stick figure crawling across the grass to a tree and then going up in the tree, that one's kind of hard to debunk.
I would say.
And we've had them going on the grass and going out and then just disappearing.
Well, I'm a big believer in SLS. Um, Mine doesn't work anymore, but Lori travels with hers, so I get to
Why
use
doesn't
hers too
yours work?
because of the programming. The person that I bought, I didn't buy it. I won it in a raffle, and the
Right.
person that donated it donated an old one of their own, I think. But anyway, my friend Scott Gruenwald was like, "Why aren't you using your SLS?" And I was like, "Well, it doesn't work." He's like, "Well, send it to me." So I sent it to him, and he and his friend put it together. You know, took it apart, got everything grooving, sent it back to
Uh
me,
huh.
and the programming isn't isn't right. It's not communicating with it. I may send it to you,
Send it
but
to me
and you know, Scott
because,
passed away a couple of years ago, so
right.
I
You
never
see, I built
sent it back
one
to him.
using, I even built one using a Windows 7 laptop
Well,
and had
I
it.
have laptops to spare, as you
Well,
know.
what you need
So
is yours a handheld SLS?
it is with the little tablet that goes on it.
Your tablet is the problem.
I would agree with that. I'll
It's
send it
not
to
the
you.
if it all hooks in and it's got a battery supply power to it and everything, it works great. And I know the program, it's easy to download this one program to use
I'll
on it.
send it to you.
Okay.
I'll get
Send
David to take it to work and send it to you.
You're right. Send it to me. I'll get it working one way or another because I have one, two, three 360 cameras that for it.
Well, I just have this one. So,
And see, when I was doing this before Gary got the handheld one, I was doing them with the laptops. Okay. Well, we had the uh, Xbox 360, which
right.
is, hi, Laura. But anyway, the 360 is only supposed to bring up two stick figures
Hmm.
on it. And recently we've been getting three.
Have you?
Yes.
Why do
And
you think that is?
I can't figure that out.
That's going to worry you to pieces until you get that done.
Yes.
You don't
Because
like things that you don't understand.
exactly. And that's with a Windows 7 computer or laptop. Laptop is what it was. So I had upgraded and got a Windows 10 laptop, right? And I was going, okay, the Xbox One, the newest
Hmm.
camera Xbox came out with, will hook up to it in the programming.
Really?
But guess what? You
What?
get six stick figures with the Xbox One.
You are kidding.
No. And I have a great video. I've got to go on that old laptop and get it and show it to you. We are at Melbourne Manor up in the attic. And I had the laptop and the Xbox One setting there. And it's cold. Oh, it was cold that night. Anyway, I go over to the laptop and I'm watching it. Gary and a bunch of them came up there. And I said, I want you all to stand right in this area because I got you all on stick figures. There's 5 of you. Said, okay. And stuff. Well, I'm looking at the camera, at the computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6. Okay. I looked at it real close. There's a short one, like a kid. One of the girls in there was going, this is how cold it was. She goes, man, my hands are freezing. Right? So Gary, being the preacher and everything, it's telling him about the little one. So he goes, if the little spirit can reach up and warm her hands up, she would really appreciate it. And you seen that little stick figure go up and grab her hands. And she's going, it's warming up. She
How
was up there
cool.
about 2 minutes and she went down the stairs. But it was, I mean, that was a good classic, just boom, like that, right? But yeah,
That
you get
is.
6 of them on there.
Well, I think that's cool. I I'm sorry. I love it. I mean, Lori has video of we were at Old Paulding Jail
Uh
and
huh.
she was like, it's right over you. It's like dancing on your head. So I just kind of put my hand up and I was like, you can hold my hand if you want to. And it reached down to me. So
Uh huh.
that's one of my favorite interactions. I've had a
What
lot of interactions at that jail, but that's one of my
what you
favorite
and Lori
ones.
need to do is set the SLS down on a deal, right,
Hmm.
where it's stationary. Find a stick figure. One of you walk down the side and come up, and the person watching the laptop or the monitor, right, will tell you when you're getting close to
Hmm.
the stick figure. Now, here's a test. If you're getting close and you got your hand almost touching the stick figure, it's not moving, right?
Hmm.
Then that stick figure is between you and that camera. Start
Okay.
walking up where your hand is like you'd be on the back side of the stick figure,
Hmm.
your hand. Gary does this all the time, walks up there. And just about when the hand gets to where the stick figure is, you'll see the stick figure move like that because it's being disturbed. Gary's hair
Interesting.
on his arm will stand straight up when it happens. It's like electricity. I've
Well,
had them.
Lori's watching,
I've
so
had them
she's
4
taking
foot
notes, I
away
hope.
from the camera where we walk up, and I've had
Right.
them right up to the camera when you walked up.
That is so cool.
Yeah, try
We'll
that
do
out
that.
and see that how that works. It gives you an idea, okay? Like we used to when we had our church down here in Hamilton. It was there were spirits there, we'll put it that way, right? From some of the past people that went to church there and everything. So me and Gary go in there in the night when we first started investigating and talk, and do it and had the SLS set up. We'd catch them sitting in the front pew in the middle of the pew, not on the edge where you could say, oh, that hard line made it, right? In the middle.
Yeah.
I'd have Gary go over and sit down beside him, and you would see it reach over and put its arm around him. So, yeah, there's some of this stuff is easy to debunk. Some of it you scratch your head, and then others you
Hmm.
go, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
It's just so bizarre because I used to make a joke about, the things that make you go, but they do. Lori said that she's done it before, but I've been with her, I think once or twice when, she just walks through it, walks up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like seeing, and she says she can get them to wave at me. And she does. But I mean, because they like interacting with that. That's one of the things. I had my SLS camera working for like 3 weeks, and the program just went bad, or it could have been that tablet. So we will send it with a new tablet. But it's just so cool because they will. It's like we're wanting to interact, but a lot of times they're wanting that communication also. They want to be able to be known, to be able to get their information out. And don't you find that to be true? I
I
mean,
find it to be true. And when you see this is my opinion. In my opinion only, folks, you have your own opinion on the SLS and all this and that. But for us that cannot see spirits, this is the closest thing we can get to what a medium sees.
I agree with that.
Okay. Like, okay, we got the SLS sitting here and we're looking around, and the psychic or medium goes, oh, there's a spirit over there. Yeah, you're right. It's on the SLS.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we can see a stick figure. You may be able to see the person or whatever it is, right?
However it's presenting, yeah.
But
Sometimes
we've got something to
that.
actually look at other than going, what do you see? I don't see a damn thing, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it does that. And I'm amazed at the different sizes of stick figures.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. And even the figures that I've caught on video, the size of whether they're a mist, whether they're just a mass or whatever, because you get child size, like knee high, right? I've gotten figures that were my size, my height, and I've gotten one tremendous, great big, way taller than my men, right? And that one blew me away. That one was outside, and that one was spooky.
Well, I've caught it. Me and Gary caught one up at Melbourne Manor in the attic. He was standing there, and I had the SLS set up, and it was looking, and the stick figure on the flat wall appeared. Right? Gary's 6 foot. This thing towered over him 18 inches.
Oh, goodness.
Right? So we had that one. We was at Ashmore Estates. Ron, Denise, Tim, Fry, and all of us were there. right? Well, you got that one room that's set up like an apartment bedroom.
Mhm.
We were in there and I had it set up. I was by the patio doors that would go out into that other room and had the table sitting there looking at the doorway straight ahead of us, right?
Right.
Ron's sitting over here beside me. I said, "Hey, Ron, come here and look at this." He comes over and he looks and said, "You notice it's on not on the door frame. It's on a flat wall, nothing on that wall."
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "You notice how tall it is? The head is taller than the doorway." So we had people coming in the door, coming in the room. They'd come to the door. Ron would tell them to stop. Just stand there. And you would see this stick figure go over there, pat him on the head.
No
Okay.
way.
We had 5 people come in that way. Tim Fry comes in, right?
Right.
Ron stops him. This 7 foot tall stick figure doesn't pat him on the head. He reached down and patted from underneath in front of him. Ron about fell out of his chair laughing.
Oh, good heavens.
All 5 of these had patted on the head. Tim comes in, we stop him. No, he's playing basketball down here, right? And stuff.
I'm
And
so
I'm
sorry.
sitting
That's so
there
funny.
laughing, and I look down and go, "Oh crap! I didn't record any of this. Oh no, this
Oh,
was
no.
classic."
That
And
would have
Ron
been
goes,
so astounding. And
"It
hi,
was."
Raymond.
And
But
then as soon as Tim came in, the stick figure left. I didn't move anything or nothing. It just went off the screen.
uh, I've seen that, and it's almost like they just, like people talk about aliens, they're there and then they're just gone. And I find it interesting with aliens too, because they are physical bodies. They should not be able to do that. But with a spirit, a metaphysical being, it still is a surprise. It's like they don't even walk away. They're just boom.
Mm-hmm.
And that blows my mind. It's like,
Well,
how do
that's
you
kind of
just,
like you're talking about that. Okay. If you look up in our area up here on Bigfoots,
mhm,
right? There was a Bigfoot sighting up here in 2004, just about 7 miles north of me,
okay.
right? So I'd read about that. I looked it up on the internet and read about it. Well, I was over at a friend's house today because I was working on her minivan and everything. She was talking about hearing these strange noises outside, hollers and yells. And I told her, I said, "You get the internet, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Look up Bigfoot sightings in northwest Missouri." The Bigfoot sightings was within a mile of her house. So I get to go up there and do a little Bigfoot hunting, I guess,
Yeah.
and see if we got Bigfoot, we got mountain lions, we got bobcats, what we got, you know.
Well, because they sound a lot alike. But,
Yeah, they do.
especially, I am not an intrepid warrior that goes into the woods by myself. I don't even go into them much with people. But I used to. And then I learned what was out there.
Uh-huh.
And it's not the animals that you have to be afraid of as much as it's the humans with bad intent or mental illness. But
I don't go into timber unless I'm packing.
nope,
No.
not
I,
I
I
wouldn't.
go mushroom hunting in April. I've got a store on my side.
Yeah.
People go,
Well, you
"Why?"
don't know
And
what
I
you're going to
said,
run up on.
"Hey, I don't like snakes."
No.
The
Are they
pistol comes
moving
in
there in
handy.
April? Does it get warm enough for them to come out in April?
Oh, yeah. Black snakes are out like crazy.
Black snakes won't kill you. I hate the ones that will kill you.
No, they
But I
just
can't
make
tell the
this.
difference. I can't
I
tell the
can.
difference, so I don't do anything with them.
I can, but a snake is a snake. Boots or belts. That's it.
That's
You
my
know,
take on it.
that's my
Preferably the
take,
boots
and
so
I'm
that you don't have
sticking
to
to it.
touch them with your hands too much.
That's right. No, when we was younger, to get out of school, this is when I started hating snakes. We had a little pet black snake over at a friend of mine's house. If we didn't have school, we would get him out and have him bite us right here. It'd give you a bellyache for about 2 hours.
Why would you do that?
So we didn't have to go to school.
Yeah,
We'd get over the bellyache, and then we were Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. We'd take off and go to the creek and go fishing.
I see that. I totally see that, just so you know.
Jake, yeah, Jake the Snake. I agree with you, Jeremy. I agree with you 100%. But no, you was talking about the SLS and everything. Have you seen the new XLS?
I have not.
That's something you may look into getting. And I
What
bet
makes it
Lori
special?
Lori might look into getting because you got the flares and the
We do.
seats and all
Yeah.
that. The new
Well, I've got the.
XLS has it built into it.
How fun! Really?
So now you can get a stick figure in IR and, thermal.
I love my thermal. So, well, my thermal does hot and cold. So
Right. And
it's
that does
actually
it
a.
on there too.
Yeah.
You look up, when you get off the show, look up an
You mean not
XLS.
now?
Well, we can look it up now,
I'm
but
teasing
I'm
you.
just saying XLS and everything. And I'll tell you what, it goes through several different changes you can change it to.
Well, I have an anniversary coming up.
Oh, we need to get Dave on here. I need to talk to Dave. Hey, she needs an XLS.
I'm going to tell him that. That's going to be our conversation when he asks what I want for our anniversary.
Right. So
So,
you're going to like it because when we get it, we're going to take it off the taxes because the people just put siding on our house and a new
we
roof
have to
on our
check.
house. Okay. We're going to check and see if they sealed it up right. It'll show you the hot and cold.
You know what he's going to say?
You already got
That's
one
what
that
I
does
got you
that.
last year.
I know.
Actually, a couple of years ago. But
Yeah.
I actually got a tool. He got me a tool that is the thermal imaging, but it's handheld like trigger,
Right.
and it's so much easier to handle than just the little one.
The little one with the
Yeah.
phone and all this and
Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
plus I don't have to have a phone because mine records and takes pictures.
Right.
And so far I really like it. I'm not getting a lot with it though, which surprises me. I have gotten my dogs who have passed, but that's pretty cool because you can tell by their shape which one they are.
Exactly.
And they do
Exactly.
have their shape, which surprised me. I figured that they would just be energy.
Mm-hmm.
They're my babies. They look just like
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
That's
So
right.
I haven't had all of them here. Oh,
Yeah,
Ghost
that
Tube.
Ghost Tube app. Just stop and think about that. You got that on your phone, and it's a Ghost Tube app. How does your phone do IR without an IR lens?
I have a
Or
problem with that too.
I do too. And it's fun. It's entertaining. We'll
It
put
is
it
an
that way.
entertainment
I've
thing.
got
But
it
Lori
on
and
my
I,
phone. Kids are
I think
around, say,
I
"Hey,
still do.
look," you know. But
But one of the things that Lori and I had downloaded that when I don't have it on this phone, but Lori and I had downloaded that when we were in Arkansas a couple of years ago. And in fact, Tom came to the event, not that one, but Tom's been to that Ozark UFO conference, Ozark Mountain
mhm,
UFO conference. And I was busting my butt trying to get interviews and talk to people and do coverage and stuff. And I was not nearly as loose with that as I am now. Like I know what I'm doing now. It was my
mhm.
first one ever. But it was so interesting when she and I were playing with that app. and it was showing us stuff, and I'm like, how is that even working? That's not logical. But it was, Lori, do you remember that? But it was so, to me, it was so interesting because it was just enough, right? And I was coming at it like you from the science side. How is that doing
Hmm.
that? This isn't.
Right.
If it were a temperature thing, I would be more inclined to ponder that, right?
Right.
But I mean, I just deleted it because I thought this is illogical. There's no way that this is not set up. It's kind of like that old spirit, the old ghost hunting word bank app that
Oh,
you could,
yeah.
the very first one back in the day.
It was kind of obvious.
Well, it was
Yeah.
kind of like Ghost Radar.
Yeah. Ghost
It was
radar.
Ghost Radar.
Oh, yeah.
And, you
Man,
know,
there's a ghost here. There's a ghost there. There's a ghost
yeah.
here. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So I was just like, and because I know usually when there's a ghost there, right? So I was like, Lori said she still has it. But
I know it. A lot of those apps are fun to use.
yeah, well, she
And
said she doesn't use it,
right.
but I have
But
to
as
clean my
far as an
phone out,
investigation goes, no, I'm not going to use those type of apps.
not for a real
The
investigation.
apps I use is EchoVox 3,
Hmm.
Necrophonics. I
Hmm.
stick, well, those two for sure. And then see, I was on a podcast with Brian Holloway, and we was Area 51 podcast out in Vegas on
Hmm.
there. I answered the question, got it right, and won every one of Brian's apps.
No way.
I've got them all
Oh my gosh.
and stuff, and I use them at different times. You
Well,
know, I don't
sure.
use. I'll use an app if I don't get nothing out of it. I say thank you, shut it off.
Hmm.
I go to a different app and everything. When I get something on that, I'll talk to them for a while, say thank you, get off that. I'll go to another app and I'll ask the same question, see if I get the same replies.
Hmm.
If I do, then I know we've got something going on because I'm using two completely different apps from different people
Right.
and
And I
stuff.
do
But
think the different developers make such a big difference
they do, and
in that
it's
situation.
a lot of them put words and everything in it.
That's why I
What
don't like
sold me
anomalies.
on EchoBox 3 was the group that got us started into the paranormal.
Hmm.
Jimmy McVeigh used it in there, and he said, "You guys need to get this." So they had EchoBox 2. Well, then EchoBox 3 came out, and I went, "That's the one I want. It's got more banks."
Hmm.
So I got it before I met Denise and Ron. Little
Right.
did I know Denise and Ron had it.
Yeah. And
Denise
she swears
had,
by it too. Lori
Denise
does
had
too.
got a hold of Danny Roberge, the creator
Hmm.
of EchoBox, and got permission to tear into it, because that's what she does, data,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
She tore it apart. There are no words whatsoever in EchoBox 3. It can't make a word. It can't make Bob. It can't make mom, forwards or backwards,
Hmm.
right? It uses phonetic sounds, just
That's
the sound.
interesting
So,
because I know the results that she's getting.
oh, the results that we've all got, I've gotten words, I've gotten sentences, I've gotten 4 different languages.
Get out.
Oh, yeah. I've had German, French, Spanish, English.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I only speak English.
Yeah, me too.
But I mean, it's like I said, and people have heard my story. When I got EchoVox, I was a little skeptic on it, basically, right? And
Hmm.
everything. Yeah, this is cool. It's saying stuff. So I was helping at the courthouse at Kingston while the janitor was off on vacation. I was doing all the work down there for him. And I got off work, and it's about 7:30 in the evening in December, dark out, cool, everything.
A little cool.
So at Kingston, I go to the cemetery, which is on the north end of Kingston, where my grandfather, Papa, was buried, right? And Mamaw and a lot of other my family members.
Right.
So I pull up there in our minivan, shut the minivan off, roll the window down, turn the echo box on, got my digital recorder there and everything. And I sat there and I looked and I went, okay, Carl Llewellyn, are you here? Nothing. Not a sound anywhere. And I sat there and thought to myself, and I went, boy, that was a dumbass question because I never called him by his real name. Never in my life. So I went, Papa, are you here? And as soon as I said that, within 10 seconds, hello. And I went, do you know who this is? And next thing that came out of that echo box was, Butch. Just like that.
Yeah.
Nobody, I looked at it this way. When I got that all recorded, it sent chills up my spine. There's no way Danny Roberge created this app that 2 years later, on this December cold, chilly night at this time, it would come out and say, Butch.
Nope.
Because when I was growing up, my name is Carl. My grandfather's name was Carl. We didn't want Big Carl and Little Carl. He didn't. So he started calling me Butch.
Yeah.
And only my family knows, their close friends knew my nickname when I was little was Butch. And it came through that echo box. So I took that recording to my older brother and my older sister. I said, I got something for you guys to listen to. You got to listen to this. Okay. Turned it on. They heard me say, Papa, are you here? And they heard hello. And they went, oh my God, that's Papa's voice. And he'd been dead for 30 years. Right? We all remembered it when we was little.
Yeah. I would
I said,
still know
no,
my
now
grandparents.
listen to this part. When I turned it on and I said, do you know who this is? And it went, Butch. Both of them, their mouths just hit the ground and they went, oh my God. That was Papa before he died, because remember he started stuttering? I said, yeah. I said, now tell me you don't hear from spirits.
Yep.
There's no way this was already programmed into a device. It wasn't out on a radio wave anywhere or anything. That was straight up talking to my grandfather that had been dead for over 30 years.
I think that was such a gift.
It was. And that's what got me more interested in the paranormal. Going, okay, if he's talking to me, why? And everything.
Well,
I even went down around the curve in the cemetery later on at different times. We have a baby cemetery down there. My mom's baby brother, who died when he was 2 years old from pneumonia, right, is buried down there. I've had him come through the echo box.
wow.
So, stuff like that, I'm always looking out there. I'll debunk a lot of stuff. Sounds, we all do that. With construction work, we know electrical water lines, different things like that. Or, I hear scratching in the wall. Well, you see that tree limb up there? See that squirrel going into your roof? That kind of explains that one, people.
kind of takes care of that right there.
It does, you know, but
Well,
it's just that way.
the thing with family spirits, I mean, they're not going to freak you out nearly as much. They're, because I got hurt a few years ago, and I had to stay in bed for like 3 months, right, while
Uh-huh.
my knee tried to rebuild itself. And my daughter-in-law was my caregiver, and she is gifted, but she doesn't talk about it much, right? But I was I was in La La Land most of the time because, yeah, yikes.
Mm-hmm.
And she came tearing down the hall into my room, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was asleep. I'm like, "Well, I was. I'm not now. You scared me." Well, she had heard me cry out for her. And I said, "No." She said, "Well, it sounded just like you, but a little off." But I wasn't paying attention to that. I figured you were, groggy or whatever. She was just getting to me. And I was
Right.
like, "Well, I sound like my mom and I sound like my grandma."
Mm-hmm.
And at the time my mom was living, but my grandma was not.
Right.
And so I was like, "Well, maybe, I don't know, I don't know." But she would see my dad in the house, and she was just like, "I just saw granddad." I said, "Well, I'm sure he's looking out for me. He's trying to figure out why I won't get my butt up out of this bed. I'm wondering that too." But, it was,
Oh, that's just
they're there when you need help.
another funny thing is, okay, my wife, her son passed away when he was 37 years old. Okay.
Oh,
So we was at our apartment. Her Tammy's sister came in from California for the funeral and everything. We're all sitting there. I was in the other bedroom and I had the echo box going. And her son's name was Wayne. And I said, "Wayne, are you here around your mom?" "Yes, coming up. And Janie and Tammy both know I do paranormal and stuff like that. So I walked out and I said, "Now don't freak out. Wayne's here with us and everything. Listen, ask him a question." So Tammy asked him a question. Came out of the echo back box, just answered it and everything. I said, "Okay, so, well, we're getting ready to go over to the church for your funeral." Said, "Okay, is there anybody you want to talk to?" And stuff. He came on there on this echo box, right? And said, "Don't tell my sister you talked to me," in one sentence.
oh, wow.
Well, they never got along, right? And stuff. And I looked at Tammy, I looked at Jamie, and I went, "Don't you dare tell Tessa we was talking to her. No,
We're
no,
not
no, no,
crossing that
no,
bridge.
no." Yeah. But it calmed Tammy down,
That's so cool.
hearing him talk. And especially when he said, "Don't tell Tessa," Tammy about died laughing. She was
Sure.
going, "That's Wayne." And I went, "Yeah, that's Wayne,"
Yes.
and
That's
stuff.
funny.
It is, but it's amazing. But like you said, different places you live, that apartment there, the landlord's husband died in there of a heart attack in that apartment, right? Tom was a jokester when he was alive, playing jokes on everybody. So, of course, our knives would go missing for 3 days, our keys would go missing for 3 days, or do stuff like that. But when he started grabbing the Tammy's vape pen, right?
Right.
She had it on a table Sunday morning, bumped the table, and it fell down right before church. Cassidy was there with us and everything. I tore this chair apart, looked everywhere, couldn't find it, couldn't find it. And I went, let's go to church, come back, and I'll figure something out. Came back, I looked some more, couldn't find it. So I went and found another one for her, gave it to her. I said, that'll hold you over. Next morning, she gets up. She had this chair with this ottoman in front of it with her books that she does her drawings and stuff in. And she keeps all her drawing pencils in this Ziploc bag.
Mhm.
She sat down with her cup of coffee and lifted that bag up and yelled at me. I said, what? She said, come here. Look, the vape pen was inside the Ziploc bag.
Oh my gosh.
Now, it can't fall off a table and fall into a bag. No
Nope.
way possible. Okay?
That's
Our
crazy.
bedroom, same thing, a vape, right? She goes, I know I left it in here. We have one of those ceilings that has the popcorn on it and all this and that, right?
Right?
No holes in it, no nothing. Nothing in there. The vape fell out of the ceiling onto the bed.
No.
Oh, you can ask Tammy. She was
Oh,
right there
that's
beside
great.
me. I looked at that and I looked at that ceiling and I went, okay, Tom, we've had enough of this crap.
Your time
And
is up here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when they sold the building and was going to turn it into something else, I said, Tom, you get to stay here and have fun with these people that are turning this into what you didn't want.
Oh dear.
Oh, yeah. I said, have fun. But I think he followed us and come up here because we're still having stuff that it'll be gone and it'll show up 3 days later.
I don't have a specific time that mine shows up, but it happens all the time. And Dave, my husband, is not a big paranormal believer, or he
Uh-huh.
wasn't. And now he's just kind of like, my stuff just disappears. And
Uh-huh.
it's always done that. It just is the way it goes. And it's gotten to where, like, we have a specific designated cabinet for my keys on a great big lanyard, right? And my sunglasses. All of my
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I need to walk out the door is right in this one cabinet,
Yep.
and it will still be gone.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about something that just makes you want to go, it's, and I've had that happen getting ready for shows. You know, I have. I'll be doing
Oh, I
something
know.
and stuff just goes wonky. And
People never see what goes in the background before the show. I need to
true.
set up a recording camera to record us on StreamYard on some of these deals. I can make some real great bloopers out of this because we'll have Cat all set up, and 2 minutes before the show, the microphone won't work, the headset won't work, or her camera goes crazy. We've
Remember
had
when it
all,
shut off?
yeah,
And it was a new laptop, and I didn't know that it had the thing that slid,
uh huh,
but it had been working. I didn't touch, I didn't have any reason to touch that part of the laptop.
no,
And all of a sudden, I could, and you were like, you covered your camera. I'm like, I didn't. No, I did not.
it did.
And then I sat up there and I was just like, here, I was just playing with it. And all of a sudden, there I was again. But I hadn't
Oh yeah,
touched that.
we
I
have
mean, why would
fun.
I touch that?
We have fun with Cat shows because I'm always in the background down at the bottom and everything, producing her show, watching the comments, putting stuff up
Yeah.
for her and everything, right? There's been a few times that I'm sitting there and she's got a guest on there, and all of a sudden, Cat's gone. I
It does
jump up
happen.
there real quick and go, she might be back, but we'll keep going. We'll keep the show going. And if she's not back here in about 5, 10 minutes, we're going to end the show. But then
But I'm
Cat will
always
jump right
back.
in and
I'm always
come back
back.
on. But that's your show isn't the only one. All the
Well,
paranormal shows
yes.
have issues. Denise's show,
Yes.
her camera, the lights go light and dark, light and dark, light and dark. Or she'll
Well,
forget to switch off her hub and her VPN and all this and that before the show, and she'll
yeah,
freeze.
yeah,
So, but there's a, what I love about the podcast when it does that, it shows everybody that's watching it. We are normal, everyday people out here sitting in a chair. We don't have cameramen in front of us. We don't have this and that and the monitors, telling us what to say and everything. We're normal, everyday people.
we are.
We show
Some
you
of us
we're
are a
this.
little bit more Abby normal than
Well,
than
yeah,
others.
but
I will take that.
yeah.
But I mean seriously, and but I have always I've done this show for I think 6 years. I've done paranormal experience for 10. And in all that time, I have I have never that's not true. I have literally not been able to do a show before. But usually if I'm at home or at the cottage, then things stay kind of normal. There will ever so often be a glitch, but it's not. I get a lot of that when I'm doing a UFO show.
Yeah.
And I have some big UFO shows coming up, so I'm nervous. But you know, I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen with those because now it's not just their involvement, but it's also a lot of stuff the government doesn't want coming out in regular discussion right now.
Hmm.
And I have Stephen Bassett coming on, who is Mr. Disclosure. So that's going to be an interesting
Yeah, that's going to be a really good, interesting show.
because he's really well spoken and he's really nice, but it's hard to get FaceTime with him at
Hmm.
an event because everybody wants to talk to him. So this is going to be pretty okay. But
But yeah, people,
I'm,
you don't realize, like I said, what goes on in the background. Just
it's
in the
crazy.
last 2 weeks, cats had the most unusual trouble
I have, and
with
it's so
laptops and home
three,
computers.
three,
Yeah,
three of
three
the
laptops
yes,
within a week, less than a
yeah,
week,
yeah, and none of
that
them
would not work.
that work fine now.
That when we got done with the show, I'd have her get on it. Guess what? It would work.
Perfectly, perfectly. And you know, I was fortunate. I was traveling, but where I was, my computer recognized it, knew it's my beach house.
Hmm.
And I had a friend staying with me. We had, I mean, there was no angst, there was no emotion, there was no negative anything, which will sometimes affect electronics because when I get wound up, I have a lot of energy, and I
Hmm.
do know that. But when I'm just sitting there, it's private Wi-Fi. I had my personal Wi-Fi VPN. I have um, house Wi-Fi and net and hardwired. None of them worked. Nothing worked. And Carl and I both are just like, ah.
We
Yeah.
tried. We
So
got on there in one show, and she did it on the iPad. The iPad worked fantastic,
yeah,
right? This
except
brand
yeah,
new HP, this brand new Dell, I mean, brand new
yeah,
computers
yeah.
would not connect to the internet.
I took that
If they
HP.
did, they would not let her get on StreamYard.
Nope.
And we're sitting there going, what on earth is going on?
And I'm sitting there because I had to do 2 shows that week.
Uh huh.
And when the first one didn't go, I'm like, holy crap, because I am paranormal experienced. I'm blessed and have been asked to do this show.
Right.
And, so I don't own this show. I try to make sure that everything I do is always perfect. But if something's going to mess up, I want it to be on mine, right?
Right, right.
Not one that's globally known and recognized the world over, right? So I'm sitting there and it's not going. And Carl is you are such a champ because I was pulling my hair out. I know you were trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to figure it out. And there's not a lot you can do from there to do that. And
Hmm.
I was just kind of like, now I have done 2 shows on my iPad, and it was,
That's why we always
was,
have a backup.
and I have learned that my phone will always be sitting by my desk because I can do them from here and I don't have to turn it sideways.
Right.
So my
And there
iPad
for
I
a
had to turn
while, when
sideways.
she got back home, she was having problems with her hotspot.
Yeah.
And then the internet at the house too, there for a second and
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, turn your phone on to be a hotspot. It'll
Yeah.
work. I've done
And
that
it's
many a times.
and it stays on a hotspot now. So,
Right.
I
Just
mean,
in case.
but
Oh,
it
it.
was the paranormal is weird. Aliens are
Hmm.
weird.
Hmm.
And, the fact that my job is kind of interacting with both of them, researching both of them. And, you know, it's just really, it's interesting
It is.
sometimes.
And what's
Laura
really
said aliens were
interesting,
doing it. I agree.
right? What's really interesting is look at all the paranormal podcasts that are out there now,
Yes.
because there's hardly any paranormal shows on television.
Yeah.
That's why I
Well, you
say
know
go check
why?
out
Because
Dark
people got,
Realm TV to get your paranormal shows on your television.
yes. And the one thing I will say about Dark Realm is that all of us are real investigators.
Right.
If we're doing these shows, we are investigators because we have experience and interest and love for, and we get into as many locations as we possibly can. That's my favorite thing about traveling. I was asked and invited to come and investigate at the Winchester House. I've been able to go to, you know, my friend Ronnie D. He owns Old South Pittsburgh Hospital and the Old Harriman Hospital in Harriman, Tennessee. And, you know, I I get invited to go and investigate places sometimes. And I've been to Scotland twice getting to do that. And that's just absolutely such a blessing. I get to try out equipment when I'm there in places, you know, but sometimes I just think that the alien side of it is just as fun. Don't you?
I do too. Aliens, cryptids, you know,
It did scare me a little.
uh, none of them really scare me and everything.
Well,
It's
I'm more respectful of their space.
right. Now, if I see one in person that's standing in front of me, yeah, I'll be a little nervous. But trying to figure them out
Yeah.
and everything to see, what they are. We had one up here 3 years ago that during the wintertime, a kid was walking down the road and seen something on 2 legs walking in the snow that had like a wolf head on it, right?
Was
He
he
took
by
off running.
himself?
Yes, he took off running. The next day, he got a hold of me. He said, "Man, I seen something. I'm going to take you out here and stuff." So he took me out there. There was some weird footprints in the snow. No other footprints around it. He didn't walk up there until I walked up there to see the prints. Okay. So I wrote it all down and everything. And it wasn't a week later on the other side of town, out by the nursing home, 2 different people in cars driving both directions like this stopped in the road and looked in the field and seen exactly what the kid described to me. walking in the snow. So everybody in this town knows I'm a paranormal investigator.
Mhm.
So they called, got a hold of me, told me their stories. So I went out there by the nursing home and walked down there, and sure enough, here's the same footprints. They were, I would say, close to 14 inches long. They were slender in the back and came out widened out with three big toes or claws, whatever you want to call them. Just like a giant chicken foot.
Oh, dear.
And I'm talking something this long.
Yes.
Yeah. And they described the same thing. It looked like a wolf walking on two legs, but didn't have the wolf feet.
Hmm.
And they seen it just about, oh, probably 20 minutes after the sun went down. Because when they seen it, it was 80, 85 yards away from them.
It's a wonder they saw it.
Well, white snow in an open field with a tree line in it was walking beside the tree line. That
Mhm.
sticks out like a sore thumb. We're used to always looking up there for deer,
Ah,
you know,
gotcha.
so they don't
Okay.
run out in front of you. So here they are looking, and they both stopped right beside each other. Nose, they said they were nose to nose on both sides of the road like this, looking. And when it took off in the timber or out where it went, they pulled up to each other and they both, did you see that? And they go, that thing down there walking. And they both
Wow.
described it and they said, well, we'll get a hold of Carl. We're going to tell him. So they both, and they're reputable people in this town.
Hmm.
They're not going to tell me a BS story and start a bunch of crap. So, yeah. But that's the only time it's been reported around here.
Well, did they say anything about its arms?
Nope.
Or
They
because,
way they described it is you would take a wolf, stand it up on two legs. So you'd have two front paws down as like arms, right?
mhm,
But they said when it got down to the knee and down further, it was a lighter color and skinnier leg than what you would call a wolf leg. It looked more like a chicken.
that's, I've never heard of that. And
Uh,
I mean, I have friends who are dogmen investigators, and I've never heard of a chicken-footed werewolf or
Yeah, I haven't
dogman.
either. That's
I
what
mean,
got.
that's,
I was expecting to find dog paws,
well, sure you
giant
were.
ones and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Or
But
maybe
when I
even
seen them
hooves,
up
but not,
here, I seen it and I walked up there and I went. Now I know for a fact it didn't thaw overnight because it was colder than shit. So it didn't thaw and enlarge the print any
right.
whatsoever. And I'm looking at that going, that's the weirdest thing I seen. And you
Yeah,
could
that
tell it
is.
was two legged and it had about a 4.5 to 5 foot stride between them. Yeah, it had some long ass legs.
How deep were the tracks?
The snow was about 4 inches and they went all the way to the ground.
So there was some weight behind that.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I could step on it and go down 2 inches. They stepped on it, but my foot, wider foot. Theirs was narrow. It
Yeah.
went
Nothing to help it.
all the way. Yeah, it didn't float on top of the snow. And the same prints were down here.
That's the strangest
Because
thing I've ever heard.
when I went down to this one, the two guys that reported it to me
Huh?
came with me. They wanted to see what prints we would find down there. They were shocked when they seen them. They go, that footprint does not go with the body we seen.
No,
And I'm going, no, what do we got? A wolf chicken around here or chicken wolf?
chicken wolf.
You know, that was the easiest way I could Describe it. Or we got a mini raptor around here running around in wolf's clothing.
Could be some sort of a raptor.
But I'm like,
But
I look at it this way: it's going to appear however it wants you to see it.
well, that would be true of any shapeshifter.
Uh-huh.
And nobody's talked about it since those women.
The guys, no. And it was only
Laura said
guys that seen
reptilian,
it.
but
Yeah, a reptilian. That the foot of a reptilian. But from the knees up, they described the hair they seen on it and everything, and the shape of the head. And the kid seen the side of the head and
right.
seen it turn and look at him when he took off running. And he said it resembled a wolf,
It was a good
not a
thing it had
werewolf,
chicken legs. It could have
a
caught him.
wolf.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, because seriously, it's
Now,
not
the
going to run
funny
as well
part,
on chicken feet.
here's the funny part, okay? Where he seen it, it was coming out of a little wooded area. And I'm talking little area, 20, maybe 50 feet by 50 feet area, right? On one of the streets here in town,
Hmm.
into a big, gigantic open yard. When we went up there to see the prints, I followed them from the timber out. They went out 50 yards and then there was nothing. So we got alien or we got a ship, something that shifts and disappears.
Well, shapeshifters don't usually just disappear.
Right.
Maybe it was an alien trying to get it together.
I don't know. But
I mean,
the same one down here by the nursing home.
yeah.
We tracked it for 70 yards. It went in the timber. As soon as it went in the timber, it took 2 steps and that was the end of it.
Then I'm going. Then I'm
But
going
there's
with the alien
nobody
theory.
seeing, either place would have seen something up in the air taking them up if it had been an alien.
Not if it was cloaked.
Okay? Exactly. Could be.
Laura said reptilians live in old mine shafts and also in wooded areas, also mountains. That's true.
Hmm.
But the fact that there weren't any of those things where the tracks disappeared would lead one to.
It leads
Is,
one to think we got something walking that can disappear anytime it wants to, appear and disappear.
but the fact that I don't know. I'm going to have to ponder this. I have a theory, but I'm going
Okay.
to have to ponder this before I say my theory.
That's all right. That's all right.
Because the odds are that it's a um, could have been something not of this world, but that didn't know how to put things together right. And I have seen that or heard of that happening with people who were experiencing UFO type
Mm-hmm.
things.
Right.
Because, how many times have we heard about they were like half put together or something?
Right.
Right. Kind of like zombies don't know how to operate their bodies. Well, aliens that don't have that kind of body might not know how to operate that too. Just
Exactly.
because they can travel a lot doesn't mean they're bright about social things.
No, and they
So,
don't. They travel and they can see all kinds of different things here on Earth. So, what are we going to have? Somebody was one of them seen a camel over in Africa and go, "Okay, we're going to land in the United States. You're going to dress up as a camel. You'll stick out as a sore thumb, is what'll happen."
well, a chicken wolf is kind of out there too, though.
Yeah, but it's
But
not seen for long periods of time. That's what
no,
gets
it's just
me.
kind of
And then following the tracks, and I can track animals. That ain't a
yeah. I know
problem,
you're a
especially a
tracker.
big track like that.
Yeah,
And you walk up there, and all 3 of us walked up there and walked into the timber And I said, there's a track. Where's another track? We walked all the way through here. None of us found another track whatsoever. I started looking in trees and everything to see if it
I would have
jumped.
thought that too. I mean, because, but the thing about it is that it would not have been really geared to climb with those feet.
No.
I mean,
But the one that gets
that's the
me is
most bizarre thing.
the one here in town, the kid seen. It disappeared in the middle of a big yard. No
Yeah.
trees, no nothing.
Nothing to camouflage it going.
Right.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to leave it on that
Yep.
because now I'm not going to get any sleep pondering this tonight, right?
I
You're in
know it.
so much trouble, Carl. But
Yeah, I know.
thank you so much for coming on with me because, I am just so, I think that you're really cool. I love the stuff that you do. I love your heart for other people. And that's everything that you do. You have integrity, you are kind, unless you can't be, and I've never seen that side of you. I don't want to. And you love your family,
Yep.
and you're just a good human. And I love good humans. So thank you for your
That's right.
time.
Oh, that's no problem and everything. Like I said, I followed your shows way back when it was audio only and
Yeah.
everything. And then when you decided to go video, I already had Denise and Ron on the network and everything. And when you came on, I said, if you need help, I'm there. Because I know
And
you had a problem with learning this StreamYard and everything like that. And it's so easy to use for
well, now
me.
it is
It is.
because I know how. But you
Right.
help with that.
But it's always good in a podcast to have somebody down there in the bottom watching the comments because you got
Yeah.
trolls that love to come in and rack everything. And you're there in case there is technical issues that the host disappears off the podcast.
That would never happen on this podcast.
No, never, never, never.
Never.
But
But I just appreciate you.
uh, I thank you very much for all that. But folks, you can check us out on the Bill of Rights Network
Yes.
on Facebook. You can check us out on Born TV on Rumble. Really check us out on Dark Realm TV on the
Yes.
Roku TV device or the Amazon Fire Stick and catch all our shows. Set it your TV and watch it with your family.
I mean,
And
there's some good shows on this network, and there's some good people who are also part of Dark Realm. I mean, it's just and it's a cheap. I think it's a cheap subscription
mhm,
rate for everything that's on there. It's a great deal, and it's a
it,
lot of fun
it
because
is.
guarantee you're going to know some of the people that you see.
Well, yeah. And you're going to
Yeah.
meet a lot of new podcasters over there.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's hilarious.
It
But
is.
like I said, we're going to get off here. But
Yeah.
Thursday night, tune in on the Bill of Rights Network. Probably be on one of these YouTube channels too
Yeah.
with Joe and me. And we're going to bring Kat on with her new laser. And
Yes.
you're going to watch her unbox it and learn how to use it. It's going to be a
I'm
real
very
fun.
excited.
She is.
And I'm going to have stuff with me when you see me at cons. So there,
That's
have
right.
some fun
That
stuff.
that's right. And what's going to be real fun is her grandson is going to learn how to use it too.
Yes, he is. And it's going
And
to be a
that's going
safe one for him.
yes, and that's going to be my fun part is teaching him in private how to
Yes.
use it. That is going to be
Yes.
the fun part.
It is going to be the
So,
fun part. But
right.
that being said, we're out of time. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again for being here. And we will see you next time. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night.